For the last half-century, thoroughbred racing has seen its fair share of giants on the track. Triple Crown winners.
He is moving like a tremendous machine.
Epic rivalries.
And nose in the Preakness. Sunday silence, easy goer. Here's the finish.
And trainers and jockeys for whom defeat just wasn't an option. But as the faces and names inevitably changed over the years, one thing stayed the same. Always in his signature trench coat, suit and tie, and dark sunglasses, the visage of Joe Hirsch walking the backstretch was one that commanded respect from everyone in the game. The veteran turf rider covered racing's biggest moments in the latter half of the 20th century and served as the recognized standard for his profession.
Joe was a role model from day one, and for the obvious reasons and the not so obvious reasons. He was a gentleman, the way he held himself, and as you're growing in the business, in any business, if you're smart, you try to look to the people who do it right and who are acknowledged as the ones who do it best.
You know, I've known Joe ever since I rubbed horses when he first came on. Well, he was on the scene. I first came on the scene, and he's an amazing guy. You know, when he walked up the shed row, I knew he was sort of like a celebrity.
My first year on the beat for the New York Times was in 1981, which was the year of Pleasant Colony's Triple Crown bid. And I went out to Campo's barn one morning to talk to him. And I guess I asked him a dopey question, or I'd written something he hadn't liked, and he just started teeing off on me. And when he got to the end of his tirade, he said, "And one last thing, I see you're wearing a trench coat. Only one guy in the press box is allowed to wear a trench coat, and that's Mr. Joe Hirsch."
Earning a degree in journalism from New York University, Hirsch's career began in 1948 when he took a job with the daily racing form's companion paper, The Morning Telegraph.
I came in 1955, and I started to work for the racing form, for the Morning Telegraph. And Joe was a dashing young man, and it was with us, it has been a constant walk to destiny.
As his career progressed, Joe would gain a reputation as a guardian and mentor to his fellow turf riders, beginning with his founding of the National Turf Riders Association in 1959. In fact, Joe was such a positive influence on his peers that when Jets owner Sonny Werblin drafted rookie quarterback Joe Namath in 1965, he had him live with Hirsch in order to help him cope with the tumultuous New York scene.
Joe was the founder and first president of the National Turf Riders Association, so he looked out for turf riders in terms of them getting access, and founded an organization that other sports have. There's a Football Writers Association, there's a Baseball Writers Association. At the time there wasn't a Horse Racing Writers Association, so Joe founded it. He was very forward thinking that way.
He was your first friend at the racetrack. He saw an unfamiliar face in the press box, and he just came over, introduced himself, and made every rookie feel like the most important guy in the world. And you talk to 50 writers and they'll tell you the same story.
Most famously known for his column Derby Doings, Hirsch would almost single-handedly chronicle the road to the Kentucky Derby every year. This usually made him the most informed man at the track, but surprisingly, Joe was never greedy when it came to a scoop.
Joe always thought it was most important for the whole world to know a story than for him to report it first. I mean, Joe had dozens and dozens of exclusives because of his shoe leather. He went and saw everybody every morning, but rather than keep it to himself and go, oh boy, I'm the only guy who had this story, he'd come up to me in the press box and say, I heard something interesting this morning you might want to look into.
I mean, there was nobody who had more information than he did, so for him to want to share some of that was a pretty, gracious and magnanimous thing for him to do, because he could have scooped everybody every day if he wanted to.
Along the way, Joe became more than just a writer to the game. Earning the position of executive columnist in 1974, Joe could cover just about any race in the world that he wanted, and he usually took the opportunity to act as an ambassador and positive force for American racing.
Joe, because of his diplomatic knowledge, he was able to communicate and to display the beautiful American racing to the rest of the world.
Joe saw the best in people, and he challenged people to live up to their own ideals. In doing this, he wasn't a Pollyanna. He wasn't a man who saw nothing but silver linings. He saw the game, the sport, and life in very, very real terms.
It was Joe's nature and Joe's approach to find the positive in any situation, to say something good about what had gone on, rather than to pick it apart from the sidelines. Now, when something really angered Joe and he thought something had been done wrong, he would say so. But he did that so infrequently that when he did complain about something or criticize someone, it had the force of a locomotive.
Through the years, Joe would earn his share of accolades, being the only turf rider to earn both the Eclipse Award for Outstanding Riding and the Lord Derby Award from the Horse Race Riders and Reporters Association of Great Britain, as well as the Eclipse Award of Merit, the Big Sport of Turfdom Award, and the Jockey Club Medal. But in the early 90s, Joe began to show visible signs of Parkinson's disease. And despite it sometimes taking minutes to hit a single keystroke, Joe would still manage to get his column out. However, in 2003, Joe Hirsch was forced to call it quits, unable to physically perform the job he had done his entire life any longer. But Joe remained an adamant fan and consult to the sport from the sidelines, right up to his death at age 80 on January 9th, 2009.
He had a way that was beyond belief. His writing, his way about him was, he's just an incredible person, and I was so blessed to know him.
He touched so many people's lives in so many different ways, but it's his words that are going to live on after him.
Joe once rode of one of his favorite horses. Once upon a time, there was a horse named Kelso, but only once. For many in the sport, that sums up their feelings about him as well. That once upon a time, there was a journalist named Joe Hirsch, but only once.